Yeah, I'm organizing something. I'm organizing something and definitely I can't leave you tonight. I can't. And I will inform you in time. And once I confirm the date, then I will inform you. I want to do. I want to do prep when children are going back to school. Prep next year. I want to do prep when children are going back to school. This year. I want to do next year. Till March.
Yes. All right, how are you? Well done.
Well done.
Yeah.
The senior.
Are you Australian?
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to sit here. Really? Is that how? Very appreciative.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their charge. Amen.
Item number 1, communication from the chair.
Thank you. Colleagues, I welcome you to today's sitting. Can see some faces I've taken long without seeing. Yes, colleagues, the whole of last week, the media has been awash with stories of investigations being conducted by one of our committees, which is COSASE. And I've seen different reactions, some of them from members of this house. Members of this house making comments about committees, about the conduct of business in this house that would bring into disrepute the image of the house. And of course, as you all know, we derive our powers from Article 90 of the Constitution, and we are supposed to do our work And also, when you look at Rule 208 of our rules of procedure, and also in addition to Section 8 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, we are supposed to be doing our work without interference. Do it responsibly. On some occasions, we might go overboard, but if there is any issue you have with the conduct of business in this house has a leadership. You can only address it to the leadership of the house. And that leadership is not only the Speaker's office, but it also, you have whips, different whips. You have the leader of opposition, you have the leader of government business, for whom you can register any matter if you have an issue. So I want caution those interfering with the way we are doing our work as a house, calling and threatening our members of parliament, or trying to belittle this house when it's conducting its duty, that has to stop. We shall not allow anyone to impute ill motive on this house. And I just caution, whether you're on which bench, even me here, any day I can be a backbencher. Even me, I can sit with macho, you know. So, but colleagues, let's work together. Where you feel any excesses, and I want to urge anyone, where you feel any excess in terms of how the committee is conducting its work, kindly raise it with us. And I want to thank the Attorney General, who has been always, when he has any issue, the Attorney General, you won't hear him trying to question the integrity of Parliament anywhere. He calls the presiding officers. When we fail in our duty, then even if someone goes out, it would be understandable. So I urge you, colleagues, to protect the image of this Parliament. And next time, please don't force us to invoke our rules of procedure. We have disciplinary measures that we can take against anyone who tries to question or to impute ill motive on the operations of this house. Colleagues, that's the main issue which I wanted to talk about. We have a lot of business, but each one of us has a duty of protecting the image of Parliament, including the leaders when you're conducting your business. Committee members, when you're in the committees, please behave in a manner that protects the image of Parliament. But also where you feel, and you're a member of this house, that you have an issue, please raise it with us, and we shall ensure that each side is heard. Okay? I've seen one of the culprits, Honorable John Musira, rising. So, yes, Honorable John Musira.
Right, Honorable Speaker, sir. I raise on self-confession almost. It is good that you have guided. I don't question the integrity of this house, where I am a member. I don't question the integrity of the committee of COSASE. It is good that you have said that I'm a culprit. There are cases when we are made to appear culprits. I had a program on NBS in Uganda. Equal, I've also read the English postings, and I'm wondering as to whether that was exactly what I said. Mr. Speaker, sir, I know it hurts. The committee of COSASE, in any case, is not only people, honorable members on your left. The bulk of them are members on your right, where I belong. I am an ex-officio and I could attend if I so wish to attend in a committee of parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, on that ground then, if anybody made such writings, translating them from Uganda into English, to appear so slanderous and rebellious and defamatory to the committee, I wish to stand here to apologize if they hurt the committee members and anybody else. And also call upon colleagues of this house for us to keep solidarity and the unity of this house. By the way, we would come up and apologize the way I've done. I've read the story. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you for being a honorable gentleman. That's how we behave in this house.
Yeah, thank you.
But Honorable Nwaga, I haven't allowed you.
You allowed me.
Okay, now I've allowed you.
You pointed to me and I said,
I formalized your
most obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the guidance you've given. But I would also implore members to critically examine and appreciate Rule 216 of Rule 2 of our Rules of Procedure.
You can read it for them.
Yes, for the avoidance of doubt. Evidence or a document received by a committee shall not be published or otherwise disclosed to any person other than a member of parliament until the report of the committee is presented to the House. It is important, honorable colleagues, that once a matter is still under investigation before any committee, it is important that we do not go to the media to discuss the matter that is still being discussed. It is only when a report has been presented to the House that each and every one of us is free to go to the media and discuss and get opinions from everybody like that. But once the matter is still under investigation, I would implore members, both from this side and that side, to try as much as possible to restrain yourselves from discussing matters that are still pending investigation. That's the counsel I wanted to give.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, the senior colleague in this house has guided very well. That's why I said we have to behave responsibly. Because sometimes, you know, we go out after an MDA has appeared before the committee, then we make very strong statements to the media, which statements we could not make in the committee. But also on certain occasions, you find that statements are made about people, and in the end, the reports come when they are different. That's why we implore you to focus, okay? Focus. But as the leadership, we shall also be meeting the leadership of committees to handle this issue. But the caution I give is simple. If you are dissatisfied, if you have any complaint on how the committees of parliament are doing their work, this house has a leadership. Reach out to the leadership. Don't call members to the extent of members starting reporting death threats against each other, as if we can turn against each other in this house. So please, I would urge you, please, let's restrain ourselves. If you have a complaint, reach out to the leadership of the house. Our colleagues, this is the matter I don't want to open up. Please. Honorable John Musira has already guided. Mayanja?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I rise on the procedural matter rule 220. Action taken reports. Let me read it. A minister shall submit to Parliament an action taken report detailing what actions have been taken by the relevant ministry following the resolutions of all recommendations of Parliament. Madam Speaker, on 18th May 2022, this August House made resolutions on the report of the Sector Committee on tourism, trade, and industry on investigations of the unfair terms in the memorandum of understanding between the government of Uganda and the Vinci Coffee Company Limited. The Attorney General was to table an action taken report whether the agreement was null and void. But on the Speaker, it's been 3 months so far. However, he has never replied. But on the Speaker, surprisingly, the Attorney General, before reporting back to the House, the Managing Director of Uganda Coffee Development Authority, Dr. Emmanuel Lyamulemi Niyibingira, on Thursday, 14th July 2022, in newspaper, a government newspaper, New Vision, made an advert of a bridged notes of interest, of expression of interest under open international bidding, inviting companies to show expression of interest for provision of transaction advisory service for the establishment of a soluble coffee processing plant
Honorable,
in
conclude the
Uganda.
matter.
Honorable
That's a
Speaker,
point of procedure.
want it to be proceeded right, the Attorney General to table an action taken report immediately. 2, the Attorney General to table all existing public-private partnership agreements. And lastly, Minister for Agriculture to present a statement on the terms and the conditions in the mentioned advert. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, I gave my guidance last week on point of procedure because I found we were abusing only be limited proceedings of the day. This is a matter you would have come to my office, Honorable colleague, as a presiding officer, or even to your leader, the leader of opposition, you share with him. And because it's a matter of the order paper, I would put the Attorney General on order paper, and he knows he's now on order paper, and he goes and he brings the report. So colleagues, if you're raising a matter of procedure beyond the items on the order paper, please, you know you're out of order. So honorable colleague, I've taken your matter. I'm going to ensure that indeed we follow up on it. And what is supposed to be done is done. But point of procedure should be limited to matters on order paper for that day. Matters of national importance. Honorable Atima Jackson.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. For record, I'm Atima Jackson, Member of Parliament, Central Division, Arua City. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on a matter of national importance. A total of 14 people were reported dead in West Nile. 6 in Arua City, 5 in Madiokolo, 3 in Arua District, and other districts like Terego registered some death cases. And some still admitted in a very critical condition in Arua Regional Referral Hospital and other health facilities for consuming suspected poisonous local made waragi branded as CT5, yet uncertified by UNBS. Right Honorable Speaker, UNBS is mandated to determine and approve the quality of what each and every Ugandan consumes from both our local production plants and imported goods for the safety of Ugandans. Right Honorable Speaker, a lot of substandard goods are produced locally in this country, sent out in the markets, and some goods are also imported in this country without being checked by UNBS. Right Honorable Speaker, UNBS offices in northern Uganda are only located in Gulu and Lira, which are very far from West Nile sub-region. Yet the absence of their services.
Prayers, please. Prayers.
my prayer is not coming to this point. I'm ready.
Prayers, Honorable.
Thank you very much,
Prayer.
Honorable Speaker. My prayer is, one, government should, through Ministry of Trade,
You see? Conclude.
government should, through Ministry of Trade and Industry, give UNBS the same attention given to the Ministry of Health, because what they determine helps the country in terms of saving our lives. Two, a regional office be opened immediately in West Nile region so that this will protect and avert the challenges of losing lives the same way it has happened in West Nile. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is government should support those families that have lost their dear ones and support those over 20 admitted in Arua Regional Referral Hospital. I beg to move. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I saw ministers consulting here and pointing to the Prime Minister. Okay, I just wanted to make that clarification that Prime Minister will be disturbing on Thursdays. Other days when ministers are here, you should answer. When you're not here is when I refer. Okay? So, Honorable Minister, I saw barriers going on and
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, member, for raising this important matter. First, we want to send our condolences to the families that lost the 14 people and those who are hurting in the hospital right now. When this incident happened, Mr. Speaker, we dispatched a team of UNBS to go and assess the situation. We have picked the samples of the liquid that was taken, and in a few days, we shall have the analysis out and know exactly what was the content in that particular liquid that they took. We have a plan to avoid dangerous products on the market. The first one, as the honorable member has pointed out, we are rolling out regional laboratories. We have set up one in Guru, and we hope in the next 3 to 4 years, we'll have covered other 6 regional laboratories, including one in Arua. The second, we're increasing on enforcement, because as we realize, these products, substandards on the market, need vigilance. Vigilance to the extent that you need somebody at the parish level, even sometimes at the village level. We are going to continue communicating to the public to follow up products on the market. If they do not bear a mark of UNBS, please do not take it. And thirdly, we are
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the minister's submission. And in his submission, he says they are trying to find the problem that caused the death of our people. I was also on a point of clarification whether Uganda as a government, we don't have laboratories with the capacity to of the death of our people in the content of alcohol within the 24 hours. Because as I talk now, there are still people who are sick in the hospitals, but at least the results would have come out by now so that the doctors find a solution to what they are treating. I therefore seeking clarification whether we have no capacity in 24 hours as a government with all the laboratories we have to find the real problem. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister, you have 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, please.
So both UNBS is doing analysis, and we have picked the samples, but also those in the hospital, the analysis being done in the hospital. Mr. Speaker, we are also coming up with consumer protection bill, and seeing the process, we can also, which we think can help the population against these substandards. But all in all, we call upon all Ugandans to be continuing to be vigilant on these substandards. If a product is on the market, please, those products that have been approved by UNBS to put a mark UNBS, please check. And the police has swung into action We have arrested those, according to the report we have, those that were manufacturing this dangerous warrage, and the factory they had has been closed as we speak.
Further
I thank you, Mr.
clarification.
Speaker.
Colleague, you don't access a microphone before. You don't access a microphone before the speaker allows you to speak. But Honorable Minister, you see, the issue is very simple. Some of these products you're talking about are advertised extensively in the media. For example, we know, and some of them are misleading. Now, men go spend a whole day drinking waraji. Then when they reach home for their marital duties, they go for Mkama Nayamba. Huh? Because it's advertised that it helps on the other side of the bargain. Okay? Mkama Nayamba for Honorable Bua means God will help. So I spend the whole day on waraji, then I have a family to build, and I put it in God's hands instead of delivering as a man. Now, and they advertise every day. There are many. There's one, I remember last time in tennis parliament, we talked about some of these, waraji called like Bajaji. Means when you take it, you take off like a Bajaji. And we allow such an advert. And we allow such an advert. So, Honourable Minister, these adverts, misleading and uncontrolled adverts that we are allowing, can't you work out an arrangement with the Uganda Communications Commission to ensure that media houses stop running such a misleading advert? But allow me also to call, there is a member from the affected communities, and he was a member of UNBS board, Honorable Fidro. So you can tell us.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the time to speak. I represent the people of Lower Madi, and I'm grateful to you, Speaker, because my colleague from Arua City ably represented the point of national importance or urgency, which I came with same thing to your office. I did some clarification, really. I want to seek through you, Speaker, to the Minister, is that the 7 people who died from Lower Madi are those whom we know. But the past 3 months, averagely in one sub-county, we've been burying about 4 to 5 people. And most of them are related to around alcohol, as you said. Now, it raised the point of concern when on Saturday 18th, I attended 3 burials of all related causes. And I'm quite happy that when Arua district, the incidents of 6 dead bodies were reported, because they are closer to the hospital, there was a faster response to identify and determine the cause of possible death. Now, my clarification I want to submit through you is, Honorable Minister, could the 13 people who died and many more others who died on, could there be some post-mortem done? Because the cause of death may not only be attributed to this alleged alcohol. And all of them have been taken to hospital. And most of them have been already buried or they are being buried. Could there be some post-mortem done on all of these deceased?
Thank you.
And the second one, as I submit.
Oh, no, now you're having more or less prayers.
Yes. My prayer is, Speaker, you alluded to the fact that I served in the board of UNBS for a few years. But we are a house for justice. If it is true alleged that these died out of the liquor, could justice be provided to the deceased?
Is there any specific product?
Yes.
Honorable Feta?
Yes.
Is there?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I want to thank my colleague, Honorable Atima, for raising this matter. I had also brought to your office, I found when he had raised.
Order. Mr. Speaker, our rules are very clear. Even carrying into parliament, simple things like newspapers are not permitted. And I see a member trafficking trafficking warrant into parliament. Something that we're not sure has even been checked. Because someone can bring a very dangerous substance into this house. So is the member in order, Mr. Speaker, to carry a warrant, not one, but 3 and more bottles. Thank you. Into this parliament. Thank you. Colleagues, it's free sitting. Please, it's free sitting. You can sit on any side. Now, Honorable Semuju, you've put me in a tricky position. I don't know whether the member is carrying waraji, whether he's carrying water, because we are around water here. He hasn't told us what he's carrying. I don't know how you quickly scanned that it was waraji. But remember, hey, you man, I'm helping you now. You. Honorable colleague, please say your statement on the floor. If there is anything you want to table, you will seek the speaker's permission.
Thank you very much.
I don't need bottles.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for protecting me. What I have carried, I don't know the content. I have carried something that is suspected to be killing people. And I don't know if it is waraji, if it is poison, if it is alcohol, but I want to table it for Parliament to examine. So I therefore want to seek permission, Right Honorable Speaker, to lay on table these substances for proper investigation. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Clerk. Clerk, please work with. Thank you.
Speaker, I beg to know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, please, order. Clerk, the substance, you can read the name for the record, then you give it Sergeant at Arms to get out of the chamber for proper handling and passing on to the relevant authorities who will test and tell us indeed the contents of the product.
The name is Cite 5 pineapple flavored.
Okay. So that's recorded. Please, Sergeant at Arms. Thank you. Colleagues, sometimes we are a bit flexible because people being buried in West Nile. And the colleague said he wants to present this matter in a way that expresses the real situation. Please, you become flexible as a presiding officer. So, Honorable Minister, conclude your response. Matters of national importance are ending at 3. So please do
Mr.
quickly.
Speaker, on the point of adverts on radios and TVs like Mukama Nayamba and others, we are going to work with the UCC and the Minister of ICT to see whether we can crack, and the Minister of Health to make sure that these adverts are really not allowed because they mislead the public.
Thank you.
To emphasize that the people who have been producing this particular liquor, the outlet has now been closed, and we are working with the police in Arua to carry out further investigations and more arrests in case they are got. I thank
But
you.
what about those in saturation?
We are working on it, Mr. Speaker, through enforcement to get them out.
Please honorable work out with the MPs from the region, keep them updated. But also, if it is illegal to have a non-certified product on market, then how do we allow it to be advertised? So you need to work it out with UCC. Honorable Namugagoreti, UNBS and UCC.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my matter is on the mysterious murder of a 4-year-old girl. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to bring to the attention of this Parliament a gruesome and mysterious murder of a 4-year-old Nayevale girl of Chitende Village, Mitote Sub-County, Sembabule District. She went missing from her parents, Mr. Semaganda Livingstone and Miss Namyalo Rose, a week ago. Her body was found buried in the neighborhood on 21st August 2022 with her head and limbs chopped off. Investigations are ongoing and the suspect has been arrested and is in police custody. Right Honorable Speaker, the late Nayevale was the only child of Miss Namyalo who is disabled. She's now living alone in a rented house after she was abandoned by her husband. Being crippled, she depended heavily on her late daughter to help her get around and on other errands. Right Honorable Speaker, children and women in my area have to trek long distances in search of water and food, which exposes them to high risks of rape and murder. My prayer is, Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Water and Environment intervenes urgently to cause provision of safe water in this place in a reasonable distance. To Right Honorable Speaker, the office of the Prime Minister should intervene and help this disabled woman to get a permanent house where to live, and also give her something in form of her capital so that this lady can survive, Right Honorable Speaker. Lastly, the Ministry of Internal Affairs should urgently and fully investigate all matters related to this one, Right Honorable Speaker, because we have many in different areas. That is my prayer, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable. I'm trying to see on the front bench.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Honorable brings a pertinent issue and I want to thank her. The Ministry of Internal Affairs will investigate this matter. And the two, I will request her to give me details in writing in my office so that we can see how to help her using the Prime Minister's office.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Honorable Idi Savidye.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the government of Uganda procured marine ambulances to be available to all Ugandans and strengthen emergency health care services on water bodies to address serious gap in emergency services. Right Honorable Speaker, these ambulances truly were commissioned by His Excellency the President of Uganda on the 25th May 2022. Right Honorable Speaker, it is now 3 months since these ambulances were commissioned. But as I talk now, they are still packed at the Marine Air Base.
Honorable Minute, I want to request whips. You talk to your members. If a member does not want to come and pass, don't shout for colleagues who are here. If it continues like that, we are going to close soft. We are going to remove the seats on that corridor. We can't continue like this. Please, if you want to talk, you just go to the canteen, colleagues. We are conducting serious business here. Okay?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the right audience, because this is really a matter of national importance. It needs when everyone is attentive. My prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, is that the Ministry of Health should put these ambulances into the purpose for which they were procured. Two, I want to advise the Right Honorable Prime Minister that once such projects and procurements have been done, they should not hurry to commission if they are not ready to hand them over to the communities. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Health.
Honorable Speaker, and I'd like to thank Honorable E.D. Savirie for that pertinent question asked. I also want to correct the date. We launched these ambulances on 20th May, and His Excellency the President presided over this function, the commissioning at Entebbe at the Uganda People's Defense Forces Marine Headquarters. These 12 ambulances, we actually procured 14, and the 2 are yet to be delivered. Now, the 12 ambulances were supposed to be distributed immediately, but due to financial constraints and also immediately to these places, and would like to request you, members of parliament, since this is the house that appropriates, to assist us so that we can get these ambulances to their destinations. We need to carry a carrier to take them to these places, which I'll read to you. Number 1 ambulance, ambulance number 1 is supposed to go to type C ambulance to go to Obongi in Moyo. It can only be transported by a carrier. Yes, or a wheel loader. The other one, it's also type C ambulance, it's going to Serere. And the other one is going to Kumi, type C ambulance. Then the other one, which was given to us by Gavi, is going to Amolata for areas around Lake Kyoga. The ambulance number 5 is going to was given to us by Tasso, which is already.
Honourable Minister, can you kindly go handle that with the Prime Minister? Because Parliament will not handle issues of wheel loaders and manage. Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Most obliged, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yeah, right, Honourable Prime Minister, kindly help the ministry ensure this is handled. Really.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, this matter is going to be handled, and I believe your order will be taken into consideration. The minister should come with me, and tomorrow I want to hand my office and we have this done.
Very good. Thank you. Look.
Right Honourable Speaker, the Prime Minister was smart to take early flight out of this matter. But if you're a Prime Minister in a government, I would force the minister to resign today. For the statements he has ambulance supplied in May. Can the minister account for the death and lives lost out of negligence, willful negligence of duty? To wait for a member to ask a question, then to
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Leader of Opposition. I did not say that we are looking for a wheel loader to take these ambulances. I said we are looking for operational funds to operationalize them. And operation funds mean one of them, and I was still reading when my time was up, that we shall need wheel loaders, we shall need carriers to deliver them to the areas where they're supposed to go. That means we need funds, not that we are looking for honorable members to take.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you've given me a point of order.
Member is off the floor.
Yeah, but just what I wanted to say, that Honorable Minister, surely ambulances flagged off by the President in May. And it waits, you have to wait for the member to raise it here, to come and ask Parliament to give you operational funds. I think, Right Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister has guided. It is completely unacceptable that you have to sit for 3 months to wait to transport these ambulances to Kumi, to Amonata, to where? You had to wait for the member to come and bring this on the floor. I think that is not proper, Right Honorable Speaker. So, Right Honorable Speaker, is it in order for the minister, please, to waste our time here asking for operational funds? Yet she could have gone to the Prime Minister to handle this matter.
Honorable Margaret, don't mind, take a seat. Take your seat, Honorable. No, you see, Honorable Margaret, Honorable colleague, on a point of order, it is the Speaker to rule. Yeah. So, colleagues, please. This is a matter for which the Prime Minister has spoken. What we want are ambulances. They will ensure that action is taken. So let's go to another colleague, Honorable Tukaiza. Aji was
Mr. Speaker, the
colleagues, please.
The former Minister of Health, Honorable Sarah Opengi, who is very incensed that another minister is wasting parliamentary time. Procedural issue I am raising is whether NRM MPs who know the performance of their party and government should continue wasting the parliamentary time.
So, Honorable Tukaiza, because you see, if I'm to judge, now I would ask myself, between Honorable Idi and Honorable Uganda, who has wasted Parliament's time. So, Honorable Tukaiza, I don't want to.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance on enforcing illegal fishing on our water bodies. Right Honorable Speaker, on Friday, 19th August 2022, the UPDF in the operation attacked fishermen on Lake Victoria at Katosi, and in the process, some fishermen were arrested, but one called Ratib Omari, who is 32 years, dropped in water and drowned. The body was retrieved yesterday from Katosi. As I talk now, the body is in Mukono to be transported to whereabouts, Mr. Speaker, is not known. Right Honorable Speaker, it's not once, not twice, but several times that the House has guided that the operation on our water bodies should be handed over to police with humility, but this has not been respected. Right Honorable Speaker.
Colleagues, on matters of national importance, we don't get information. These are matters of urgency. Okay, I've given that guidance on several occasions.
Mr.
And
Speaker,
it's time. Mhm.
I pray that with immediate effect, the operation on our water bodies, which is the livelihood for many Ugandans, should be done with humility and by police. And Right Honourable Speaker, I pray that the deceased, the family of the deceased should be supported to transport the body to the ancestral village, and also some financial support to meet the burial expenses.
Thank
I
you.
so pray.
Minister of Fisheries.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is true there are a lot of complaints that colleagues always bring to my attention and also call. But the biggest problem right now is the issue of budget. It doesn't to go to different places where the honorable members of parliament raise such issues. While you are organizing to go to this side, the issues are being raised from this side. Concerning the soldiers versus the police, Right Honorable Speaker, the issues of fisheries, whether the soldiers, whether the police, are very, very vast on the ground. The issue of enforcement has to do with a lot of sensitization, which needs both the local leaders, the MPs, and my ministry to move around. For example, Right Honorable
Please, colleagues. You won't hatch a plan when I'm hearing you, and you think I will help to execute it. I heard how you hatched a plan for order. She was standing for clarification, which has matured into order. You know, no, we are not going to run the house this way. Please continue, Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker,
conclude.
I want to promise the House that I am going to reach different places and also work with the minister in charge defense to see that we sit down some of these soldiers who are very harsh. So my promise to this house is that I am going to reach different places, not only this place, but there are so many places for the issue of death.
Honorable Minister, we've got your point. Kindly, please take up the matter seriously, okay? Colleagues, I also want to give guidance. When you have a matter of information, a matter of clarification, and you request, please, you know a colleague has not accepted, and take your seat. Otherwise, you disorganize a colleague on the floor. Standing up for 3 minutes, asking for clarification, please, okay? I request really, if a colleague has not accepted, just let's take it low. I can find a way of giving you another opportunity. So, Honorable Minister, please take up this matter seriously and ensure that the members' concern is handled. Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Thank you for your kind indulgence, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to extend my sympathies to my sister, the Prime Minister. She must be feeling terrible about herself over the front bench. And but I can understand her troubles. Right Honorable Speaker, you've been here. The issue of fisheries and the military probably occupies a huge space in our records as Parliament. And the minister did not sound even knowledgeable about the circumstance under which the member was complaining. Can we, with your indulgence, would you kindly ask the Prime Minister to rise and pick up this matter as a matter that is appreciated? So that because members are complaining all over, it's not a new matter. The minister seems to be reading in notes that are incomplete. She says she's looking for money, there is no money. She's about to ask for fuel from members. With the indulgence, right honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Will the Prime Minister assure that the country, this matter is well understood and therefore has the methods of dealing with it?
Thank you. Now, colleagues, today I'm not understanding the chemistry between the Prime Minister and leader of opposition. They seem to have connected so much. All the trust is now in the Prime Minister. But sometimes the colleagues are challenged also. She tells you from her heart what she feels and what she knows. And the Prime Minister always, once the Prime Minister feels a member of the front bench has given an answer that is not satisfactory, the Prime Minister will always rise up, and she always gets the first call as the Prime Minister. So since she has remained seated, she's satisfied with the answer given by the minister. Oh.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, last week we were here and a member of Parliament from Nakasongola, the Honorable Sechans, raised the same matter. There are some steps we have taken, except that we were with the senior minister, the Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, the PS Minister of Defense, the PS in my office, and a number of resolutions came up, and the minister, State Minister for Defense, I don't know whether he's here, the Honorable Obos. We had a long meeting and we agreed as follows: that the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Agriculture should go and make sure that I told you last week, the major objective of this marine army on waters is to help us harvest mature fish and protect the lake, and also help curtail. Because remember, there were a number of crimes committed on the waters. So I request, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, that we shall go back together with my sister. I will team up with her together with the Minister of Defense and Minister of Internal Affairs, and we shall come back here and give you a conclusive statement on the matter.
So, Right Honorable, we expect a statement in 1 week. I hope it's feasible. Statement in 1 week. Colleagues in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a group of primary school students from Yumbe district who participated in the just concluded ball games school tournament that took place in Masaka district. They emerged as champions in the under 14 boys category. Please stand up for recognition. Thank you. So, thank you. Now, I don't know why you people fear calling the Attorney General out of order, because I saw him clapping instead of someone has said it's a maiden act, so we forgiven him. So they are represented by Honorable Ezama Slaj Burhani, Honorable Onzima Godfrey, Honorable Arion York Odria, Honorable Oleru Huda Abasan, and Honorable Avako Mersa Naima Gule. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. Honorable Namkuta and finally Honorable Jessica Babiko.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Which has covered the whole district, that is Adjuman district. Over last weekend, the worst sub-counties affected Pakele and Arinyapi. Many houses have submerged, crops which have matured have totally been destroyed. My prayers. One, I request the office of the Prime Minister to go to Arinyapi sub-county to do an assessment, because the occurrence of floods in that sub-county is yearly. So that even if it means resettling our people to another place, as a district we shall support you. So we need you to go to Adjuman to do an assessment in Elgon Parish, Arinyapi sub-county. Two, we need food and non-food items. In the area of non-food items, because people are displaced, we need public councils. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I have taken note of the members' issue. When we go back to the office today and tomorrow, we shall dispatch a team. But I also want her to help us inform the District Disaster Committee to write a comprehensive report of what actually transpired, and then we act accordingly.
Right Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable colleague,
we have submitted that. I'm just informing.
Honorable colleague, you don't access the microphone without permission. Please.
Very sorry, Right Honorable Speaker, but we have submitted the report. Thank you.
This is prime defiance. But I request you, colleagues, for us to have order in the House, only access the microphone with the authority of the presiding officer. Next item.
Item 3, bills first reading. Item 3, Roman 1.
Attorney General.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Trustees Incorporation Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. I beg to move the certificate of financial implication is laid on the table.
Lay on table. What documents are you laying, Attorney General?
The certificate of financial implication.
Yes.
And a copy of the gazetted bill.
Thank you.
The Trustees of Incorporation Amendment Bill 2022.
The bill is referred to the Committee on Legal.
Item 3, Roman 2.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Anti-Terrorism Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. I beg to lay the copy of the Anti-Terrorism Amendment Bill and the certificate of financial implication.
Thank you.
The Anti-Terrorism Amendment Bill 2022.
In line with Rule 129, it's referred to the Committee on Defense.
Item 3, Roman 3.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Anti-Money Laundering Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. I beg to lay the bill, the gazetted bill and the certificate of financial implication.
The Anti-Money Laundering Amendment Bill 2023.
Thank you. Be referred to Committee on Finance.
Item 3, Roman 5. Roman 4.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. I beg to lay the bill and the certificate of financial implication.
Thank you.
The Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2022.
Be referred to the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry.
Item 3, Roman 5.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Partnership Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. I beg to lay the bill and the certificate for financial implication.
The Partnership Amendment Bill 2022.
Be referred to the Committee on Legal.
Item 3, Roman 6.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that the bill entitled the Companies Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. I beg to lay the bill.
Amendment Bill 2022.
Bill.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have carefully watched the Attorney General move and claim to have read, but I have not seen him lay, other than the Trustees Incorporation Amendment Bill. I have not seen him lay any of the bills, unless the clerk in the way has them, but we have had previous incidents where bills were alleged to have been laid, and the Parliament was being blamed for not taking action on them when they were actually not laid. So can the Attorney General be directed to actually lay the bills for?
Yeah, thank you. I have copies of the bills here, so myself, I'm sure I should be having, but please do the necessary, Attorney General. When you read the bill, but continue from where you had stopped. Shouldn't go back. And you lay on table. Yes. We had done companies, so we are going to 7, Roman 7.
Item 3, Roman 7.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that the bill entitled the Insolvency Amendment Bill 2022 be read for the first time. I beg to lay the bill and the certificate of financial implication.
The Insolvency Amendment Bill 2022.
Yes, be referred to Committee on Legal. Thank you, Attorney General. Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable Leader of Government Business, you're producing work, but you have a very ambitious legislative agenda, which talks of 62 bills. 62 bills. Kindly listen to my communication. 62 bills. And so far you've laid 9. Seeing for this session. For this session, it's 9. This 7 plus 1 on organ transplant and the other one on museums. And then we also have 2 private members' bills that are being done. Then we have two bills that came from the first session, and the reports are more or less ready. So next week we shall handle the excise duty. For that one, we have to handle expeditiously. The government is losing revenue. We have to pronounce ourselves on it and the local content. The speaker is speaking. So I don't know why when the speaker is speaking and Haji is so allow me to finish, Koriga will allow you, okay? So these bills, I've not pronounced. They are very urgent bills, very, very urgent. Tomorrow morning, the chairpersons of the committee on legal, defense, and tourism, together with the government chief whip, the opposition chief whip, and Dean of Independence and Attorney General. I need you for a meeting at 9 a.m. in my chambers to discuss how we can work on these bills quickly, because there are repercussions if we don't have these bills in 2 weeks' time. In 2 weeks' time. So, but I want us to sit and we agree on the modus operandi on how best. And the Shadow Attorney General, please also ensure you attend that meeting tomorrow at 9 in my chambers.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as I abide by your ruling, sir, I'd like to invite you, Right Honorable Speaker, to the matter of your ruling in referring the bills that have been read to the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. For example, the Partnership Amendment Bill, the Trustees Amendment Bill, and the Companies Amendment Bill. Right Honorable Speaker, I've been a member of this committee before, and I have no objection in their competence in handling this. However, I would like to seek your intervention as to whether we would either incorporate two committees to also have the Finance Committee, which has the primary mandate to interact with the institutions involved in this matter. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, sure. That's not a problem because we complement each other, but these are issues we shall handle tomorrow in the meeting. Please take note of that, so that is one of the issues we agree upon in tomorrow's meeting. On the same, Honorable Semojo.
Mr. Speaker, you summoned the meeting and mentioned the people who attended that meeting. If I heard you properly, you said the Dean of Independent, an office that is non-existing. At least I occupy an office that exists as a whip of FDC. But you've summoned someone occupying a non-existing office in the Administration of Parliament Act and in our rules. That's why I'm seeking a procedural issue for us to understand where is this person and who created that office.
Thank you. Honorable, that's my officer. He's my officer, and I can summon my officers to attend my meeting. Dean of Independence is under the office of the Speaker. And we know it's been a practice, even here gazetting members, you know, we've been using that. So it's a practice that we've been having. But all this is aimed at incorporating independence. Because if you call the government side, you call the opposition side, and we have our independence, where do they belong? We need to see a way of incorporating them in whatever we are doing. Next item.
Item 4, statement by ministers. Item 4, Roman 1, statement on the releases to the Lord Fund for the first quarter of the financial year 2022-2023.
So, honorable ministers, you come in the public gallery this afternoon. We have students from Kampala International University Law Society who are on a study tour to Parliament. They are here to observe proceedings of this House Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. Honourable Minister, you have 10 minutes. I hope your statement is uploaded.
It is right, Honourable Speaker. Right, Honourable Speaker, thank you so much. On 17th August 2022, I appeared on the floor of Parliament regarding funding for maintenance of roads in the country. I informed the House that due to resource constraints and the need to coordinate our fiscal and monetary policies to stabilize inflation, government had provided Uganda shilling $304,884,923, of which $6,280,000,000 was for maintenance of district urban community access roads, commonly called DUCA, and Uganda shillings 24,884,923 was for national roads under UNRA. However, honorable members of Parliament expressed concern regarding the meager resources allocated to road maintenance and guided that additional resources should be urgently be mobilized for road maintenance on Duka roads. Right, Honorable Speaker, I wish to inform the House that in line with the above guidance, my ministry has mobilized additional resources and is in the process of releasing the budget balance for Q1, that is 25% of the budget under the Duka category, amounting to Uganda shillings 37,231,349,250 shillings towards road maintenance. That 37 billion is over and above the 30 billion that was released, and so over and above the 6.2 billion shillings that was released for Duka roads. Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, this is a statement for which we don't think some action has been taken. Honorable Byanyima, who is our chief architect on the issue of road fund, we allow you a minute, and Honorable Penny, who moved the motion.
Honorable Speaker, road fund, the budget we appropriated here is 480 billion, which means translating to the first quarter being 120 billion. So when you talk of 30 billion, that's not even a half. But we are looking at Uganda as a country where we have about over 136 districts. And we should think that by giving them little money, it ends up by being people's pocket money. If you don't give them fair, something fair, then we start blaming the districts. And members of parliament here, each and every member of parliament is on the district road committee. So you only got 30 million, which went to the districts. So I would 25 million. So, Mr. Speaker, I feel
Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, you have rightly said that I moved the motion. The one of Yanima seconded my motion. Right Honorable Speaker, my motion has not been dealt with by the minister. We are talking of release of funds. My motion was clear to operationalize the road fund. And in operationalizing the road fund, the monies meant for the road fund, as is stated in the act, are not being given to the road fund. And that's why some of you are clapping. That is peanuts. I have got phone calls from town councils all over this country Some town councils received as low as 3 million shillings. What can you do with 3 million shillings in a sub-county? So, Right Honorable Speaker, my motion has not been dealt with, and your directive, guided by the Attorney General, for the Ministry of Finance to comply and operationalize the road fund has not been done. And last week, Right Honorable Speaker, I did state here, the minister came here and told you, you are the speaker, the number 5 in this country. The speaker, the number 3 in this country, have guided the minister who is number, I think, 11 in the country to operationalize the road fund, bring the regulations here. That has not been done, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sarah. Thank you.
Continue, Right Honorable Speaker.
Colleagues, it's not issues of numbers. It's the issues of working together as a team. We work, we complement. I might be number 5, but when I'm facilitated by number 40, you know, hey, this guard who keeps my security to ensure that I'm safe, I don't know his number. So it's not about numbers. Now, colleagues, I don't want to open. Let me tell you this. Let's put it clear. Please, colleagues. The minister has listened to us. We came here on Thursday. It was more or less near a war zone in this parliament because minister had given us only 6.2 billion. We told him to go and get us money. What we need is money for our districts. The minister has responded by allocating a further 37 billion. So we should congratulate ourselves that we have worked with the minister and we gotten money. Now, 37 billion colleagues, yes. Listen to me, you see, colleagues, the problem of discounting your efforts. Your districts, all districts in the country had been given, no, please. I'm the one who raised this matter. So I will not allow procedure or anything on it. And I want us to appreciate where you push a minister who had given you 6.2 billion and he adds you 37 billion. Colleagues, we should learn to appreciate. Then I'm a businessman. What I first put this in a pocket, then we negotiate on the rest. Okay? So I want to thank you, Minister, for listening to the House. But as per Rule 220 of our Rules of Procedure, we need an action taken report on the motion which we passed here, where the Attorney General guided properly, as raised by Honorable Sarah or pending. In the meantime, be looking for more money to add to the road fund. Our districts need more money. Next item.
Item 4, Roman 2, statement on action taken to improve food security and mitigate the impact of long dry spell, as well as the performance of the tractor scheme.
Honorable colleagues, I guided that we shall discuss this statement together with the report of the committee on parish development model. I understand the committee was finalizing, so we shall do this item on Thursday.
Item 5.
And clerk put this item on order paper for Thursday as item number 3.
Item 5, statement by the leader of opposition on the oversight visit to Elgon region to assess the disaster situation.
Colleagues, this statement was uploaded around 2 weeks ago. So please don't go through the whole statement, 10 minutes, focusing on observations and recommendations.
Right Honorable Speaker, the leader of the opposition with the members of the shadow cabinet undertook an emergency response oversight visit to the Elgon and the Sebei regions following a heavy downpour that led to the bursting of rivers Nabuyonga, Namatala, Nashiviso, and Napoli. This was in accordance with Article 82A of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, under Section 6E of the Administration of Parliament Act 2006 and Rule 14 of the Parliament Rules of our Parliamentary Rules of Procedure. While in Mbale City, Mr. Speaker, sir, the most affected and the fatalities and destruction that were reported across Elgon region districts of Bulambuli, Sironko, Mbale, Manafa, Namisindwa, Bududa, Kapchorwa, Kwen, and Avuko. The deaths of over 30 people were reported and thousands displaced. Approximately 4,057 households, which is about 30,000 people, have been affected since 31st July, and 5,600 people have been displaced. Over 519 households have been affected in Mbale district alone, and with many more displaced internally from all the affected districts. And about 400,000 people were cut off the national water grid and have to trek long distances in search of safe and clean water. Apart from the loss of human lives, Mr. Speaker, the disaster left behind the obvious social consequences of damage to property, destruction to crops, loss of livestock, and the deterioration of human health conditions owing to waterborne diseases, which is expected in the aftermath. Relatedly, Mr. Speaker, landslides hit Bududa district on Wednesday, 3rd August, leaving thousands of people homeless, and the hardest hit were the sub-counties of Bushika, Bunabutiti, and Nakati. In Bushika, the parishes of Fusa, Burili were entirely covered, forcing the residents to seek refuge at Nangako Town Council headquarters. The villages of Shiramonsi, as mentioned, all these are no more. Properties including houses, livestock, and entire gardens of coffee, cabbages, onions, bogoya, and Irish potatoes were buried. Over 50 households have been damaged and over 300 people displaced. Mr. Speaker, much as we seem to hide our heads in the sand, Uganda is highly disaster prone, ranking in at 20 globally. And it is the risk driven by the increasing frequency, intensity, and the scale of disasters. The Elgon region in particular has for the past decade proved to be a hotspot for floods and landslides, and has experienced well over more than 12 disaster occurrences since the year 2010. It is in particular known for a pattern of increasing frequency and intensity of disasters that are caused by natural hazards. Mr. Speaker, the response from the Office of the Prime Minister and other entities, such as the police and other forces, was extremely slow, despite the disaster having been reported by the district disaster management committees in advance. Ironically, the line minister of disaster preparedness, in his report in this house, indicated that the situation was under control. Mr. Speaker, the recent disaster occurrences in the Elgon region speak volumes on Uganda's capacity to contain disasters of even a basic magnitude without huge losses and fatalities, including massive damage to both public and private property, as witnessed by our delegation. Much as the first response to the disaster often includes search and rescue operations, as well as the provision of immediate relief for those affected in the form of medical care, food, and water, and temporary shelter, it was not the case in Mbale. OPM, for instance, negligently left the task of issuing updates and extending relief to UNICEF and to Uganda Red Cross Society. Observations. Limited financing for disaster risk response and management for local governments. This one is crucial, Mr. Speaker. 2, absence of disaster response coordination among government agencies and other humanitarian actors. 3, limited capacity of disaster risk response and management structures. 4, negligence and unnecessary delay to act by the police and of early warning systems. 6, limited funding for the contingencies fund. The main sources of disaster preparedness and management financing are the national budget, Mr. Speaker, and other financial or any kind donation is channeled mainly through the OPM. Parliament is compelled to budget at least 0.5% of the previous budget for the current year's contingencies fund. Section 26 1 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015, as amended, establishes the contingencies fund, which is replenished with an amount equivalent to 0.5% of the appropriated annual budget of government of the previous financial year. But for the current financial year, Mr. Speaker, 2022-2023, Parliament ought to have budgeted for contingencies to the tune of 244.121 billion, being equivalent to the 0.5% of the appropriated budget for the financial year 2021-2022. Unfortunately, during the Karamoja, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development cut that provision to just a paltry 62.068 billion, which puts emergency relief efforts in jeopardy. Disaster Preparedness and Management Commission. Article 249, Clause 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda provides for the establishment of a Disaster Preparedness and Management Commission by Parliament, which has not been operationalized. This law on disaster preparedness and management, which is provided for in the National Disaster Preparedness and Management Policy, has not been even tabled, despite OPM having initiated a roadmap with a budget for its approval in 2019. The Sino-Uganda Mbale Industrial Park. The Sino-Uganda Mbale Industrial Park, Mr. Speaker, was one of the sites that suffered the biggest brunt of the flash floods. We observed, however, that the park, which sits on 2.6 acres, square miles of land, with 10 factories, was built in the Namatala swamp, into which several rivers naturally drain. Government allocating this important wetland to industrial activity must have significantly contributed to the disaster. As a result of the river flow within Mbale City has lost a natural draining system, leading to massive flooding, Mr. Speaker, sir. Government should, as a matter of urgency, 1, deliver sufficient food and non-food relief to the area to aid those displaced, as the area consignment dispatched by OPM to the region was minimal. 2, government should set up proper camps to offer shelter to the thousands of the locals displaced by the flood, as the 150 tarpaulins do not seem to serve the purpose. 3, there should be sufficient medical supplies. This medical supply should be made available to counter the threat of waterborne diseases. Or the Ministry of Works and Transport should arrange for machinery from local governments across the country to be deployed in Mbale for the reopening of roads and the repair of bridges needed. It should also expedite, the Ministry of PM should also expedite construction of works at Vunambuche in the Vulambuli district. 5, government should link the Ministry of Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees from the office of the Prime Minister, and should be granted its own vote, Mr. Speaker, sir. Government should also expedite the enactment of the National Disaster Preparedness and Management Act to establish the Disaster Preparedness and Disaster Management Commission so as to operationalize Article 249 of the Constitution. Government should also create a specific budget line for disaster interventions in all MDS and the district local governments in disaster-prone districts. Government should also facilitate local governments, especially those with a higher vulnerability to disasters, to allocate up to 10% of their local revenue towards disaster risk reduction and management. And lastly, government should plan and implement a storm drainage master plan for Mbale City to manage the flash waters or floods and the stormwater runoff and reduce stormwater pollution and protect and enhance. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the passing of the National Climate Change Act 2021 afforded this country a legal framework to confront the adverse effects of climate change. But we have observed selective application of the law, Mr. Speaker, where some industrialists and large-scale farmers have been given unfettered latitude to use wetlands as they so wish. So restoration of wetlands is unfairly targeting poor smallholder farmers to be evicted from wetlands when the big ones are at liberty to stay. The case of Mbale flooding is a wake-up call, Mr. Speaker, to all leaders to confront climate change without segregation and the promotion of personal interests. This House has it within its powers to take a stronger stand on the financing, operationalization, and the coordination of emergency response to disasters everywhere in the country. I beg to submit, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Opposition Chief Whip. Now, I was reading through your report, of course. I waited for the minority report to be attached. It didn't come because out of 12 signatures, you have only 6. And this is your delegation. Why didn't members of your delegation sign? I think you should call them to order. This is your delegation. That defiance, they are defying you. So I think this is very, very important. You know, we want members to be signing reports. Right, Honourable Prime Minister, is there anything you want to say on this? Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, we have a conclusive, a comprehensive report on issues of Elgon. Even my coming late to the House right now, I've been meeting with the UN family. They're giving us the details of the items that have been delivered to the Elgon region.
Chief Whip, I think your members, the level of defiance.
So if you can give me only tomorrow on Thursday, I'll be able to.
I will allow you to carry whip next time.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm requesting by Thursday, I'll be able to come and present a report here to respond to this.
So, the minister is requesting for a response, which she's ready to bring on Thursday, so that then we can have a debate on this matter, okay? Thank you. Debate for Thursday on this matter. Next item.
Item 6, statement by a member on the state of affairs in the Democratic Party.
No, please, that is for Thursday. Our rules are very clear. Rule 54, such a statements are for Thursday. So I talked to the member, I told him, members, yes, you have powers under Rule 54 to make personal statements to explain a few issues you might be having. So we shall be having it on Thursday because that's what the rule says.
Mr. Speaker, most obliged, but Thursday seems to be congested with lots of business. I would implore your office to consider tomorrow, because matters of disaster
Prof, you're taking
urgent.
over my powers. I'm the one with the order paper. So you mean you've already made an order paper for Thursday?
But the business is, we might be overwhelmed.
Have you made the order paper for Thursday? No, I will ensure that we give it enough time.
Okay.
Yeah, have my word. Okay. Yes. Let's go to item number 8.
Item
I
8.
want to do item 8 and 9. They've been pending for long. Then we end with 7.
Item 8, motion.
Oh, there was item 6, which I know is not yet ready, but the chief whip wanted to make an appeal. So, Honorable Chief Whip or Government Chief Whip.
Item 7.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the opposition whip through you for the agreement for us to designate members on the Standing Committee on Science and Technology. Right Honorable Speaker, with your permission, I had informed members of the National Resistance Movement represented in this parliament to express interest to serve on this committee. And with your permission, let me re-echo that same call that for members who have not yet expressed interest, please kindly do so between today and Thursday morning before we designate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Whips, you also called upon to designate members of the Appointments Committee to a second standing committee of the House. The Speaker made that ruling some time back. We've been waiting to do that. So members of the Appointments Committee should be given another committee because this one, they rarely have business and we do want to utilize them effectively. So please do that on Thursday with this one of Science and Technology. Okay. Item number 8.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on National Economy.
No, item number 8, which is on the bill, rainwater.
Item 9, motion seeking leave of Parliament to introduce a private member's bill entitled the Rainwater Harvesting and Storage Bill.
Honorable Yeri Ofono. Okay. The honorable colleague is not around. The next.
Item 10, motion seeking leave of Parliament to introduce a private member's bill entitled the Contract Farming.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I move under Rules 56, 121, and 122 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament on a motion seeking leave of the House to introduce a private member's bill entitled the Contract Farming Bill. Whereas Article empowers Parliament to make laws on any matter for the peace, order, development, and good governance of Uganda. And whereas Article 94(4)(b) of the Constitution and the Rules 120 and 121 of the Rules of Procedure of the Parliament permit a member of Parliament to move a private member's bill, noting that considered to be one of the best in the world, with 80% of Uganda's land arable, and the country is endowed with good temperatures, fertile soils, and 2 rain seasons over much of the country, leading to multiple crop harvests per year. Further noting that according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, 70% of Uganda's working population is employed in agriculture, and agriculture sector contributed about 24.03% of the GDP of Uganda in the year 2020, and they accounted for half of Uganda's total exports, recalling that in 2013, government formulated the National Agriculture Policy with the aim of commercializing agriculture, owing to the fact that agriculture sector in Uganda is fragmented and dominated by small farmers, most of whom combine subsistence farming with cash crop and livestock farming. Further recalling that owing to the importance of agriculture sector to the national development and transformation, the National Development Plan 3 prioritizes agro-industrialization and contains interventions that are aimed at improving production and productivity, market access, and elimination of bottlenecks to agricultural development. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not going to read the entire narrative since it is uploaded. Now I therefore would like to seek permission of this Parliament that it be resolved that the Parliament grants me leave to introduce a private member's bill entitled the Contract Farming Bill, a draft of which is attached here too, and to order the publication of the said bill in the preparation of the first.
Is the motion seconded? Honorable Lop, Honorable Christine, Honorable Mpindi, Honorable Timuzugu, Honorable Florence Akiki, Honorable Mricha, Honorable Nsibambi, Honorable Nifa, by many members, Honorable Muuma, by many members of this house. Engineer Balimwezo, Aran Mayanja, Katabazi, Esther, many members of this house. Okay, Honorable, would you like to speak to your motion? 3 minutes, because you've already.
Right Honorable Speaker, the farmer, many of them who are subsistence farmers, 39% of them, and a large portion of them who are smallholder farmers, they are faced with a great risk of price fluctuations. And this bill, if passed, it will go a long way in mitigating the risks that arise out of price fluctuations, and will help the farmers in this nation to negotiate the best prices with the buyers. Right Honorable Speaker, this legal framework, if passed into law, will help the farmers to minimize post-harvest losses, since the farmers will be connected directly to the buyers. So the question of them looking for where to keep their produce does not arise. And that will help the farmers to get further benefits out of agriculture as an economic enterprise. Right Honorable Speaker, the buyers also are going to benefit out of this legal framework, because the provisions of this proposed law will help them to connect directly to the farmers, to negotiate the best prices, but also to do planning for the markets. Right Honorable Speaker, the provisions of this bill also provide for block farming. All of us know that in this country, one of the huge problems to farming is land fragmentation. Block farming will give an opportunity to our farmers to aggregate the pieces of land in their possession, and also therefore helping them to benefit out of economies of scale. It also helps the farmers, the block farming, to benefit out of the individual experiences of the farmers when they do farming together. And lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, contract farming and block farming, if this legal framework is enacted into law, it will help to improve the environment under which the farmers are going to produce. It will help the farmers to access markets, and it will help the parish development model to be beneficial to our farmers who are waiting for it. Right Honorable Speaker, if this bill is passed into law, it will send a smile to the farmers of this nation that have long awaited for a legal framework that connects them to the best market. I so move, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable colleague. Seconders, Honorable Alan Gonza. Honorable Apollo Stella Isodo. Colleagues, 2 minutes.
Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm here to second the motion for the contract farming bill. Right Honorable Speaker, contract farming is an agricultural production carried out according to the agreement between the buyer and the farmers, and it establishes conditions for production and marketing of the farm products. Contract farming in Uganda, Right Honorable Speaker, has been restricted to plantation crops such as sugarcane and tea, where outgrowers have been supplementing production of the large agribusiness farms like Kakira, Kinyara, Kasaku Tea Estate, among others. Right Honorable Speaker, adopting contract farming in Uganda will go a long way in improving the profit margin and revenue of the small-scale farmers, as it will also respect their farms and combine their labor. Contract farming will also promote good quality end products, since both the stakeholders have equal interest for the success in terms of production and processing. Right Honorable Speaker, directly contracting with buyers will increase competition, leading to higher prices of the farm produce for small-scale farmers, hence their higher incomes. Right Honorable Speaker, contracting will also go a long way in contributing to the NDP 3 and pillar number 1 and 2 of the PDM, which routes for agro-industrialization, production, storage, processing, marketing, improved infrastructure, economic services such as improved roads, access to infrastructure, and the agro technologies, among other benefits. Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda can also borrow a leaf from the neighboring East African countries like Kenya, which has about 40% of the farmers producing under contract farming. And according to OYA, who did a survey in 2012, Uganda has only 5% of the farmers producing under contract farming. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable colleague. Honorable Pamela Kamugo.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to support a motion moved by Honorable Abed Bwanika about contract farming. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, contract farming is carried out on the basis of an agreement between the buyers and the farm producers. Sometimes it involves the buyer specifying the quality required and the price, with the farmer agreeing to deliver at a future date. Right Honorable Speaker, the use of contracts has been attractive to many farmers because the arrangement can offer both an assured market and access to production support. Contract farming is also of benefit to buyers who seek supplies of products for sale further along the value chain or for processing. Right Honorable Speaker, there are also potential benefits for national economies, as contract farming can lead to economies of scale. The farmers are assured of the market once their produce is ready. Right Honorable Speaker, contract farming controls the whole farming and agricultural value chain, right from the seed to the plate. It also gives both the buyer and producer security for their transactions, since there is a binding agreement. Lastly, but not the least, contract farming helps farmers to concentrate only on what they can sell instead of producing what they are not sure of its market. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Christine Duwarana. Okay. Oh, okay. So, colleagues, this is something where we don't usually have a lot of debate, because it's clearly provided for it, you are right, under Article 94, Clause 3B, that you can have a private member's bill, and also Rule 122, Sub Rule 1. They are provided for. Now, the only thing we have to be cautious about are two. One, Article 93 on financial implication. So, honorable member, please ensure that you comply with that article. But number two, of course, also subclause C, where we put a heavy burden on the Attorney General, on the implementing agencies, if, for example, each member brought a private member's bill. So I want to encourage you, colleagues, before bringing these bills, always first go and dialogue with the implementing agencies. And you see whether there is a gap, and they can either improve on the existing laws, or if indeed a gap is so big, you can have this as a private member's bill. But Rope, I think we shall need a dialogue with the Attorney General and the Chief Whip, the opposition whip, we see how best we can support members, not suffocate members, but also ensure that we don't bombard. We saw very many bills that are going to fail even agencies in terms of implementation. Now, Rule 122, sub-rule 2 is very clear. Once we give permission, then that's when the crack will come in and help the member. What a member is seeking is just under Rule 122.1, permission. So we don't need to debate whether we are giving him permission or not. Okay? Once it's given, then we shall apply Rule 122 and we bring, he goes, he looks for a certificate of financial implication, support and all that. And it will be brought here for first reading once he meets all the requirements. And then we process, we will debate at the right time when the committee has presented a report. So colleagues, now allow me to put a question that this House grants leave to Honorable Abed Bwanka to introduce a private member's bill entitled the Contract Farming Bill. Those in favor say aye, those against nay. The ayes have it. So congratulations, Honorable. Go work on your maiden bill. Colleagues, a member having a private member's bill shouldn't put you on pressure to also go and start working on one. So it's your right, but it shouldn't put you on pressure that he will go on record as having introduced the bill. No, your participation, you can come and work closely with him. I don't want our members to be on any pressure. So I need us to do one more item in the performance of the loan for Karamoja, since the minister is here, and then we call it a day, colleagues. We would have done a great job. So Clerk, can you call that item? It will be number 8 on your...
Item 8, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on National Economy on the performance of euro 110 million from the government of the Republic of Italy to finance the Karamoja Infrastructure Development Phase 2 under the Health Sector Development Plan.
Chair, Committee on National Economy, and I will request government, if you have any new update that would help us, immediately you give it to us, and we call it a day. Chair?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by laying minutes of the meetings of the committee today. 2, a copy of the report of the Committee on National Economy on the performance of euros 10 million from the government of the Republic of Italy to finance the Karamoja Infrastructure Development Phase 2, KIDIP, under the Health Sector Development Plan. I beg to lay.
Honorable colleague, you have 10 minutes.
Much obliged, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the report I'm presenting is a report of the Committee on National Economy on performance of euros 10 million from the government of the Republic of Italy to finance the Karamoja Infrastructure Development Project Phase 2, KIDIP, under the LFA Development Plan. Right Honorable Speaker, on 19th March 2020, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development presented to Parliament a request to borrow the same amount from the government of Italy, and this Parliament approved the same amount on the 18th of June 2020. During the plenary sitting of the third meeting of the second session of the 11th Parliament, held on 14th July 2022, the Right Honorable Speaker directed the Committee on National Economy to assess the performance of the euro 10 million loan from the Republic of Italy. Pursuant to Rule 178(2)(c) of the rules of procedure, the committee considered the assignment and now reports. The methodology is clear, aware that I have 10 minutes. The findings, Right Honorable Speaker, 3.1, the delayed implementation of the project. The Minister of Finance informed the committee that the Karamoja Infrastructure Development Project, KDIP2, was designed to address the rural health care infrastructure distribution, improve coverage, situation, access, and quality of health care in the region. Informed the committee that due to the obligatory loan effectiveness conditions, the loan implementation process delayed as government tries to fulfill loan effectiveness conditions, where one of them was issuance of a legal opinion of the Attorney General, and two, a verbal note to the Embassy of Italy from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs notifying that all internal procedures have been fulfilled and finalized. That Honorable Speaker, we interacted with the Attorney General, and we noted that the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development entered into a financing agreement without clearance from the Office of the Attorney General. And the Honorable Speaker, we also noted that an agreement between the government of Uganda and government of Italy was signed 1 year later, on the 19th August 2021, while the financing agreement was signed on 6th October 2021, stressing this without clearance by Office of the Attorney General. Right Honorable Speaker, consequently, different meetings were held, and one of importance to note was the one on 28th March 2022, where Minister of Finance officials and those of the Attorney General met to discuss the matters raised. And at the said meeting, Honorable Speaker, some of the issues were, one, that the multiple responses, because Honorable Speaker, for the last 2-3 years, the activities have been just correspondences from finance to Italy, from finance to Office of the Attorney General. So those are the activities. And the issue that the multiple correspondences between them and the Attorney General was as a result of the matter being handled by different officers at different points from their end. That is the submission by Minister of Finance. That much as their requests are not been clear, the legal opinion requested for to have covered the two agreements, both the financing agreement and the loan agreement. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee also noted that by the letter dated 5th May 2022, the Attorney General forwarded to the Minister of Finance a respective addenda, the two agreements on the law applicable and dispute resolution. And on 18th July 2022, the legal opinion was duly rendered and delivered to the Minister of Finance. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed the following. The Minister of Finance, like I mentioned, the Minister of Finance signed the financing agreement without seeking the legal opinion, contrary Article 119, 4B, and 5 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, although the proposed amendments to the agreements were submitted and received by the government of Italy, it is not clear. Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether the problem with the timing, I think I've used maybe 5 minutes.
Go on, Honorable Colleague.
Thank you, much obliged, Honorable Speaker. The process, the committee notes that the process has taken over 2 years, and the communication between parties taken too long in endless correspondences, which has affected loan disbursement. The committee recommends: 1, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should in future abide by the legal provisions of the Constitution. 2, those who sign the financing agreements without first seeking legal opinion of the Attorney General should be personally held responsible for any shortcomings in the project delays. The committee further recommends that the Minister of Finance, the Office of the Attorney General, and any other minister relevant to fulfilling the effectiveness conditions of this loan form a committee to minimize the bureaucracy and interministerial correspondences. Honorable Speaker, the committee also noted that the loan of 10 million euros seems to be too small and could have been easily absorbed in the normal budgeting process. The committee therefore recommends that the House resolves that the minimum amount for any external borrowing should at least not be less than 20 million dollars to minimize costs related to contracting loans and maximize benefits. The committee further recommends that the future government should develop mechanisms of internally financing such small-scale projects to avert future pressures on debt. Honorable Speaker, to report, there is an ongoing project already which is funded by a grant, which is $4.2 million euros from the government of Italy, but it has taken over 5 years for this grant to be fully availed. And the committee recommends that the final accounts and closure with the previous contractor be concluded to verify the project cost overruns that were estimated to be $344, $315, largely as a result of delays in fulfilling contractual obligations. And the last recommendation, Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that geoterrestrial studies be carried out prior to project implementation to avoid cost overruns. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the overall performance of the Karamoja Infrastructure Development Project Phase 2, KDIP, as at August 2022, is at 0, and no loan disbursements have been made by the project financiers due to delays by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to put in place key loan effective conditions in order to trigger loan disbursement for the implementation of the project. As a result, the anticipated project objectives, outputs, and outcomes have not been achieved despite the timely approval of this loan by the Parliament of Uganda. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable colleagues. I think this report helps us colleagues in terms of efficiency of implementing projects which we pass here. And that's why the committee really, I don't know how you can encourage the government to borrow more by saying you only approve huge sums. So it's a very clear precedent here that a committee of parliament or parliament does not question the resolutions of the previous parliament. This was a resolution of parliament processed by the same committee on which me and you, Migade, honorable, used to sit. But number two, when you say government of Uganda should absorb such expenditures, you see, how does government of Uganda raise this money? Some of it is borrowed from the money market at over 15% through bonds and bills. But this is a loan which you are getting at management fee 0, commitment fee 0. I think it was more or less like it had a grant element, so it was more or less an interest-free loan. Now, which business sense does it make for you to say you don't borrow 40 billion internationally at zero interest rate, but then you borrow it from the money market at 15%, and you come and you implement a project. So we should leave government freedom. If it can get, I remember how this loan came, and in that committee, we were processing the Spanish loan of 20 million euro to do the aerial survey of the Karamoja mineral areas. And the MPs from Karamoja made it a point for survey of minerals before we pass it on for health centers, improving health infrastructure. And we did our part as a house, but for 2 years, nothing has been disbursed. So the question is, before a loan is brought here, you mean you're not ready? So we as parliament, we approve, then you go back to work on terms, on conditions, but I thought we approved the terms. There are some other details maybe which usually are not yet complete. So Honorable Attorney General, this is aimed at curing such a defect of us approving a loan, and for 5 years it has not been implemented. We look shabby as a house. So Attorney General, I don't know whether I wanted to say something, then I allow a few colleagues.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleague. I actually read this report with interest, and I took it in this. And definitely there are many lessons learned. There are many lessons learned on how we do our business, and you can be sure it will be a lot smoother. We lose a lot of time in intergovernment departmental letters and communication. Now we've taken on a new method where we meet physically, go through these processes, and then render the opinion after we've discussed them. And this should be, we are moving a little bit more efficiently, as more than before. Thank you very much.
But I got information that you cleared this run and implementation is starting.
Yes, we insisted on doing the documents anew, and they were done, they were approved and sent back to finance to handle. But this was done.
Okay. Colleagues, I have information that the first batch of 5 million euro, because I really followed up on this, the first batch of 5 million euro was going to be released so that they start implementing the project. Honorable, I will allow just like 5 colleagues. I don't know really what we want apart from going on record of speaking. I don't know really. I'm going to listen. It will determine whether we are just going on record to have spoken or not. Okay. Honorable, and then Honorable Obiga Rose.
Thank you very much, my Right Honorable Speaker and my dear colleagues. Honorable Chair for Finance.
2 minutes.
A similar scenario happened in 2020 when we passed a loan here of 3 roads. That was in May 2020. And one of the roads supposed to be from Laropi to Moyo up to the border at a place called Lafoji. And up to now, we have not seen any signs, whether compensation of the people along the roads, any signs, nothing. We don't know where that money has gone since 2020. So I would like to get information about the same. Thank you.
Honorable, we passed it on?
In May 2020.
Under which funder?
African Development Bank.
Okay.
Yeah, supposed to be used for constructing 3 roads. And one of them is from Laropi to Afoji border point with the Sudan. And up to now, there are no signs. Thank you very much.
Honorable Migade, when are we getting our report on performance of loans? Because that report needs to be given comprehensive debate on the floor.
Right Honorable Speaker, we can be ready next week. Wednesday, we are ready.
So colleagues, as you're debating, you know, we assigned the Committee on National Economy to bring a report, comprehensive report on performance of road. So let's limit ourselves to this Karamoja, this one.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair. Speaker, sorry, Right Honorable Speaker. I feel so touched that Karamoja, that is really going through hell, still finds this kind of air. I want to thank Attorney General that we are getting on track, but I want to say that it's important to track all the projects, all the air that is in the country, so that we are not going to pay air to these so-called funders or these people who are giving us loans. Otherwise, I'm in agreement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Honorable Faith Nakut, then I come this side.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I am glad that we had this discussion, and I thank the committee for a good job. 3 years, a lot waiting for health facilities to be constructed. A number of lives have been lost in the process of waiting. I want us to note that the delay was ours of government, not of the financier. So it is my prayer that we track the progress of this implementation. While, Right Honorable, you've said that there is 5 million already released, the actual construction of health facilities is not actually happening. And if we have to wait for another 3 years to review this, then we will be contributing to the number of lives that are being lost. As a result of this wait for 3 years, members need to know that Karamoja missed all the other alternative financing for healthcare, including the youth gift. So let Parliament do its work of tracking progress, of causing government to take action where there is a commitment of this kind.
Thank you. Thank you. Remricha.
Thank you so much, the Right Honorable Speaker, sir, for the opportunity, and honorable colleagues. I want to thank the chair for this report, wonderful report. Chair, I think we in this country, we have a problem with the issue of borrowing. Personally, me and you, the Right Honorable, you sit on national economy in the last term. I noticed that there is a lot of borrowing, but implementation of these monies, making sure that these projects are put into use, becomes a very big challenge. Looking at Karamoja, this was a very well-intended loan helping Karamoja, as you know, Karamoja. But these people have suffered for almost 2 years now without any project taking place in this area. And Speaker, I wanted us as Parliament to be serious with Minister of Finance, because the procedure is very clear. When you are coming to Parliament, you would have done all other necessary steps. We come and pass loan. Then you go and after Parliament has approved the loan, then you go back and begin negotiation. I think this is a bad practice by government, and I really support the Right Honorable that the committee should bring the performance of all loans. You would see how money has been wasted.
Thank you.
And government is paying a lot of interest. I thank you so much, Right Honorable.
Amuria, then Richiga, then Wakiso.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for the report. However, I just wanted to be guided whether this country we shall need another commission to help us to identify our priorities. Because every time we are looking for money to do something that is good, it is certain. We pass loans here even to take care of refugees.
But when it comes to our own people, taxpayers of Uganda, we do dilly-dally. Mr. Speaker, I don't understand whether we have good intentions for our own people. I want to be helped whether we need another new commission or an authority to identify our priorities, because even in the budgets, you find unfunded priorities. Why do you don't call them priorities if they are unfunded? Mr. Speaker, there's something that needs to be done. Secondly, there are ministers who have very high appetite for asking for loans in this house. I don't know whether the president still follows up like he used to do when we were in the Committee of National Economy with you, Mr. Speaker. Because there are some loans that would be requested for, and we approve them from this house, and they are never used for the purpose for which they have been picked. They are redundant up to now, and the taxpayers are paying money. Mr. Speaker, this is very bad for our country. Something needs to be done.
Thank you. Ruchiga and then Wakiso.
My name is Roland Diomjeni, and I represent the people of Ruchiga. I'd like to thank the committee for the report and the proposal. But as the previous speakers have mentioned, in this country we have a problem of borrowings not based on priorities, and in the end, there are so many redundant loans in the Ministry of Finance, which are not helping Uganda as an economy to grow. There are so many loans, right on the speaker, on which we are paying interest, for example, and those loans are not doing the work they are supposed to do. I don't know to what extent this country can go in borrowing, because whereas sometimes borrowing is good for purposes of spurring the economy, but if the loans are not properly used, if the loans are redundant, then what is the whole purpose of borrowing? Why can't we also look at the internal sources of getting funding for some of these projects? Why should we always go out to look for loans, and yet there are also internal sources of funding? It is quite absurd, right, Honorable Speaker, that almost 50% of the money that we are going to spend is going into interest payments. For how long are we going to continue borrowing? And yet, this borrowed money is expected to be bringing.
Wakiso.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we appreciate the committee, and because it's going on record, and after that we are likely to pass it as a house. On page 8, I would request that as we extract the statement that is encouraging the borrowing of 20 million, so that it's entirely extracted. We should recall that as a country, our public debt is over 52%. And right now as a country, we only need to devise more means of how we are overcoming the very difficult economic times we are going through. So to me, I could request that we can now extract out that statement, and we are able to ensure that it's not us who are again strengthening borrowing in this country when we have not yet settled that debt we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Koriga, I totally agree with you. It's the main with the economy, and whenever he needs to borrow, he comes here. So we shouldn't be saying we want you to borrow higher funds, higher amounts. No, let him borrow what he feels we need. Okay, Lop.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the chairperson for the report. Of course, I'm not oblivious of the fact that it's partly post-mortem, but a progressive post-mortem, so to note. I would like to invite the chairperson, the speaker, and the members of the committee, because they're going to handle so many such complex situations of borrowing, to in the future to be bold. One, to tell Parliament who are these officers who are signing without the opinion of the Attorney General. You know, where do they get the locus to opine on a matter that is legally closed? Because then, if we do not mention them, then we are incubating impunity. Because what I have seen here, probably the Attorney General has been doing fire brigade. But the lender was very, very firm on conditions precedent that the opinion of the Attorney General must obtain before the loan is cleared. Right, Honourable Speaker, I think in future to have courage to mention these individuals so that we can know people who want to usurp powers of the Attorney General, who refuse to sign until conditions were met. We can only be thankful to the lender by being insistent. Two, Honourable Speaker, is the fact that the committee was not generous enough to give Parliament enough information on the specificities of the beneficiaries, because probably we know it's an old facility from the 10th Parliament by way of appraising the exact projects and districts, and probably where needed the specific amounts thereof. One of the worries, Honourable Speaker, and I know it will come back here at some stage, 10 million euros in 2020. Did the committee consider a GDP deflator on the figure to be sure that the same project goals will be achieved? I would expect a comment so that we get an assurance from government that probably there is a remedy to close the financing gap. This money cannot serve the same purpose and accomplish the project.
In fact, Honorable Rope, it was 46 billion at that time. Now it is 38 billion.
So we have a problem there. And Honourable Speaker, as part of what we can agree, can we invite the Minister of Finance to come here and make a comment on this loan, even when this report passes, as to how eventually the entirety of the targets will be obtained in the circumstances given the erosion of the value then. Board, Honourable Speaker, those are the comments I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chief Chairman. These are clear issues. Okay, it's a very clear report, and we expect another report from you. Correct. No one is bringing out anything specific to this. They are general. They are general issues to do with the report, which we expect next week. And where the Minister of Finance will have to come here and explain. There are ones which are even worse. Those which are worse when you get the report. So, but in the meantime, extract the report of the committee in 2020 and upload it on our fresco so that we can easily access it and members are able to get the details. Colleagues, I don't want to waste any more time on this matter. I now put a question that the report of the Committee on National Economy and the performance of the loan of euros 10 million from the government of the Republic of Italy to finance the Karamoja Infrastructure Development Phase 2 under the Health Sector Development Plan be adopted. Those in favor say aye, those against nay. Be adopted with amendments. Yes, because there are clear amendments which we've made. Those in favor say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. The meeting I had called for tomorrow at 9, I can say I still have some time. I invite the leader of opposition, the government chief whip, the opposition chief whip, the attorney general, the chairman committee on finance, chairman committee and vice, and chairman committee for legal to meet me in my chambers in the next 10 minutes House adjourned to tomorrow, 2 p.m.